Okay, so now we're going to take a look at one final calculation in entropy and enthalpy, another Gibbs equation. For the reaction, delta H equal minus 22 kilocalorie and delta G is minus 12 kilocalorie at 25 degrees Celsius, calculate delta S, and then calculate for the same reaction delta G when the temperature is 500 Kelvin. Well, you can't calculate delta G without delta S, so we have to do that first, of course. So here we start with our formula. Delta G equal delta H minus T delta S. You'll notice again, I have it encapsulated here. Now, I don't know what you've been taught in terms of algebra, but I was taught that if you're isolating a variable, which you should always do before you plug your values in, if it's a negative variable, run a minus sign through it so that it's a positive variable that you're solving for. So what I've done in this next step is I've run a minus sign through the entire equation, making it minus delta G equal minus delta H plus the quantity T delta S. And then I start moving my variables around. Delta H minus delta G equal T delta S. And finally, delta S is equal to delta H minus delta G over T in Kelvin degrees. And then we just simply plug our variables in. Here's our delta H, so we go up here. Here's our delta H right here, which I plugged in. Watch your signs again. You got negative 22 kilocalorie, and then minus, and then I parenthesize this. I just really like putting this kind of stuff in parentheses because so often these values have a negative component. In this case, delta G is negative 12, so I think that helps pocket it. So it becomes minus 22 plus 12 over 298. And then we end up with negative 0.0336 kilocalorie per Kelvin degree. Now we do the second part of the problem, which asks us to calculate for the same reaction, the delta G, if the temperature is 500 Kelvin. So delta G equal delta H minus T delta S. Here we have our minus 22 kcal. It's the same problem, but we've raised our temperature to 500 Kelvin times the delta S that we calculated here. Again, notice you're canceling your Kelvin. You're left with kcal minus kcal and minus 5.2 kilocalories. Will this occur spontaneously? Yes or no?
Yes.
Will it?
Yes.
Will it occur spontaneously? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Why? How do you know? Because the sign is
Negative.
negative. Delta G is negative. All right, and that concludes our discussion of enthalpy and entropy.